This is A Closer Look, a program about being differently abled in the 21st century, produced by the Community Council on Disability Awareness.
Welcome to our show, Taking a Closer Look, Being Differently Abled in the 21st Century. Our show is about the problems of and possibilities for the disabled living in the community. It is being sponsored by the Community Council for Disability Awareness in Richmond, Indiana. The focus of our show today is taking a closer look into what it is like to be a paraplegic and how, without the use of legs, it is possible to live an active, independent, interesting, and rewarding life. Hello, my name is Dr. Daryl Greene, and I am the host for this show. And this year I'm also the president of the Community Council for Disability Awareness. And now I'd like to introduce our interviewer for the show, Bowne. And Shell works as a caseworker for vocational rehabilitation services here in Richmond. And she is also a member of our Community Council for Disability Awareness. And Shell is excited today because she gets to introduce our most interesting and remarkable guest, Tim Thistlethwaite. Shell?
On New Year's Eve in 1979, a young 23-year-old man went for a ride with his father's friend on the first ride of a new car. Losing control of the car, the father's friend and the young man were both ejected from the car. The result was that the young man was a paraplegic. Today we have the pleasure of interviewing Tim Thistlethwaite, a longtime resident of Richmond, and who is the focus of A Closer Look. Tim, can you tell us about the aftermath of your accident?
Yes. It was some friends and I were all at a little party, and a friend of mine's father decided to take me on a ride in his new sports car and ended up in a traumatic accident. And what I remember is not going through the accident, but waking up at Reed Hospital, my mother standing above me, and I couldn't focus on what was going on. And I looked at her and I said, "What are we doing?" She says, "You have a broken neck. You were in a car accident." And I didn't really comprehend at the time what was really going on. She says, "But they're going to take you to x-ray and see what we can do for you." And at that time, I can remember going back into a shock, and then I'd wake up and I was in the x-ray room, and the nurses were all hovering around me, the doctors. Then I'd go back out of it again, and the next thing I know, they say they're going to take you to Indianapolis. We got to try to do what we can to see if we can save whatever you have left. So after that, I remembered my father. There was a lot of friends around, and my father. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning when the accident happened. About 2 o'clock in the morning, and I remember about 5, they said, "We're going to take you to Indianapolis to see if we can save what we can." And at that time, I couldn't comprehend anything. I just remembered I'm laying out on a stretcher, and the next thing I remember is being loaded into an ambulance and taken to the IU Med Center, where they had a team waiting on me on New Year's Day when I got there to go in there to see what they could save to keep my arms, because at that time I was known as a quadriplegic. I couldn't move my arms or my legs. They took me into the emergency room. I can remember them trying to be calm with me and trying to keep me cool. And we went into an operation, and I remember coming to probably about midnight the next day on January 1st, and I was what was known as a striker bed. I had no idea what it was. But a striker bed is where they had to put my neck into traction. And to put it in traction, what they do, they put at that time in 1980. It's different now. But they put these, it's just like an ice pick. They drill them into your skull on each side here, and I still have the scars. And it's like a little halo that went over your head. And then it put a cable on there and have 5 pounds to keep your neck in traction. You lay on a bed that looks just like an ironing board. And so you won't have to, because it used to be they had to put body casts on you. And so then people would always break down with bed sores and, my God, I don't know what all different things. So this way, putting on you on a striker bed, they could flip you every 2 hours, or on your stomach, or back on your back. And so that was quite an experience. I remember waking up, and I had no idea what the situation was. I'm on this bed, and I see my mother, my father, and my brothers were there, and my mother couldn't take it. I mean, it was pretty tough on her to see me there. I probably had 8 or 9 IVs in me and these things coming out of my head. And it was a little hard to adjust to that. But and I was on that striker bed for 47 days. And all I could see was either the roof or the floor. And then my brother, he, without family support, I never would have made it. But my brother found these prism glasses that he could bring in there, and they could put them on my head, and I could look up to the glasses and see what was straight in front of me there. So that really made it really nice there. But I spent 55 days in intensive care, and then they moved me to a room at the IU Medical Center. They was trying to prepare me for physical therapy. And so I finally got the tongs out of my head. But what was nice, the people at the hospital were very caring at the IU Medical Center. They would do anything they could to get me out, because when you're in intensive care, you can only come in and visit you 10 minutes. And I had the first 3 weeks, I didn't want to see anybody. I just didn't know what happened to me, what's going on in life. The only place I would see was my best friend and my family. And they'd have to come in, they'd have to feed me. I couldn't move my arms. When you're laying there in that striker bed, you're laying up there, and the only thing you just looks like feeding a little chicken. You know, they're sitting there putting the food into you. And
From listening to you talk in the past, it was that loss of independence that
absolutely
was the biggest hurdle for you to overcome.
That when they would flip, it got to the point where I was starting to get a little gain, some gain of my right hand back. So the physical therapist or the occupational therapist would come in, and they would flip me over on that striker bed to my stomach where I could feed myself. And they brought in silverware with a big, like styrofoam or rubber around there where I could barely grip it, but I could feed myself. And that was the first sign of independence coming back. And it was also very lucky because my right hand started coming back. After a couple of weeks, I could move it.
And that was your dominant hand?
Yes. And
what adaptations have you made today that enable you to be as independent as you are?
Well, I would say electric scooter, because everybody back then kept saying, you're going to have to use a manual chair to keep your strength up. Well, I was in that manual chair, and I'm paralyzed from the chest down. That manual chair didn't give me any independence. I would try to roll it around. I would be tired. But you need to do it because to keep your strength up or exercise in one way or another. But I would say putting me into this electric scooter here gave me more independence, because you can just go around and I have the use of one hand where I can drive this, I can hold things, I can just basically do anything I need to do. It was.
So you went from being pinned down to a striker bed. You went through 7 months of physical therapy after you got out of that. And during that time, you gained some of the use of your arms, but then you had to venture forth into a new life and find a way of being independent. And as you said, getting the power chair made a big difference. Now, I understand that you've modified your house and that you have a specially modified van, and that you even have a boat that you enjoy going out fishing and going out on the waters. And we actually have a video of your place and how you have adapted to life. And so why don't we take a look at that video, and you can just kind of explain to us, since we're looking at it, what you've done and how you get along.
Well, as you can see, I lived in Indianapolis in 1988. I decided to move back to Richmond. I wanted to buy a house. And I found a house that fit my needs on the inside just perfect. It was all completely open, as you'll see. But this is, the only drawback is I have a big steep hill getting up my driveway. And that was me going up the hill. There it is, that's my house.
That is quite a driveway.
That's my kitchen right there. I'm showing you the kitchen sink, my chair. Now, the nice thing about my chair is, you'll see here, I'm raising my seat up. And I have an electric seat on this chair that I can raise up 5 inches, which really helps. I can get into the cabinets, as you see right now. I can get glasses out. I just basically whatever I need to do to cook, everyday living. Get into the dishwasher. I can you raise it up to get into my washing machine and my dryer. And that's me getting to just showing you my house there. Now, the nice thing about this house is they removed 5 walls, the people that lived there before me, before I bought it, and that's the reason I bought this house. That's me behind the counter right there. There's a little cutout, as you'll see here in a minute, that I can get up there and I can cut up vegetables or meat. You'll see this little path I put in there. I wore out my carpet going back to my bedroom. And
that is a neat idea.
Yeah.
And that's kind of stylish.
And that's my path going back through my hallway there, and that's me going into my bedroom. Now, I did put a 42-inch door in, as you can see right there, to get into my bedroom, because I wore the carpet out there also. That really helped. It's nice to get in there. That's me backing up next to my bed.
And that's a nice
that's my
spacious
sanctuary at
bedroom,
night.
man.
I spend a lot of time on that bed because I get so sore. I'm very fortunate I have feeling. Now, this is kind of funny. They wanted to see how I take a shower. So we pulled into my bathroom, and what I do, you can see the shower bench and the chair and the tub. And Ed Hoffman was filming this for us. He was gracious to film this, and I thought, I'll show you how I get into the tub. Now, first thing I do, I scoot my chair there. I gotta pick up my legs and throw them into the tub. Now, you remember
every movement you have to think.
Oh, you have to think
before
constantly.
you do something, you gotta think how you gotta do it. And
It's routine right now. But that's me training. I scoot onto the edge of the tub, then I get into my chair, and I have to pull my other leg in. I usually don't do this dressed. I'm just showing how it works here. Now I'm ready to take a shower. So I'm in my tub, I shut the shower curtain, I'm ready to shower. Now, showing Ed what you have to do when you get out of the tub, you always have to make sure you place your legs so if you fall by chance, you don't come down and break your legs, because it's very easy. That's something you have to really be careful of. And as I was showing Ed this, you're going to see here, I fell. I wasn't used to sliding out of there with clothes on, and I'm getting ready to make my transfer, and lo and behold, whoops, that's what you don't want to do.
Okay.
So what you do, you just lift yourself back up. Now, luckily, most people can't do that. I was able to lift myself back up, set myself onto the tub, and now I'm back into my chair just after I have my shower, and I'm ready to start my preparation, brush your teeth and whatever you do after you get done. Now, this is my bedroom. I'm showing Ed how I get in bed. It's just so people don't realize you got to lift everything for your legs, because you have no use of them. So I lift my chair up, I transfer in on my bed. That's where I am. That's where I'm the most comfortable. Now, you're going to see.
Going from going from the chair to any other, like a chair in the house or the bed, you call that transferring?
Transferring, yes. And you can see here, I rolled over. I'll show you that's how I sleep. I always sleep on my stomach. Main reason is I have never had a bed sore or decubulus because of this, which very fortunate. That's just if you get a bed sore.
That's what killed Steve Reeves, right?
That, exactly, and also Christopher Reeves. People just don't realize if you're sitting on something, and I'm lucky because I still have feeling. And I can tell when I'm very, very sore and I have to get off of my rear end there. And that's me transferring back into my chair. I'm not as graceful as I'd like to be, but, but there I'm ready to go again. It's just like every morning I have to get up. Now, what you got to remember is I got to plug my scooter in, charge it up, and at night, and so I keep a battery charger underneath there. I got a little office in my house. That's why I go back there and pay my bills. That's my living room. I got a fireplace.
That's a nice looking fireplace there.
That keeps me very warm in the wintertime. I feel like Ben Cartwright sometimes because I keep a fire going all the time. I'm able to do it myself. Very lucky with that scooter. I can pile the wood up on my lap, bring it into the house. I keep it right out in my garage, and I can bring it right in there, set it in, and start a fire very easily. Now I wanted to show, this is what's called
do you have a gas igniter for the fire?
No, I just use paper and fire starters.
The old-fashioned way.
Yes. Now right now I'm showing you how I use what's called a helping hand. It's an extender, which if I had to get a glass or something out of the cabinet, this is how I put my dishes up also. I line my dishes up on the counter when I take them out of the dishwasher. And if I had to put them on top, I grab them with that electric, or that helping hand, and I will set it on top up in my cabinets, or else I pick stuff up off the floor. Now this is me going into my van out of the garage. I always leave my lift open so it's quicker, or my ramp. I just backed into my van, and we're getting ready to take a little trip to Brookville.
And what's in Brookville?
Well, that's where I keep my pontoon boat.
You have a boat?
Yeah, I loved to water ski before I had my accident. Loved to swim, and I used to go down there and just look at the lake and just thought there has to be a way to get back onto that water again. So then I thought, about a pontoon boat. I thought I could probably get on a pontoon boat if we could rig something up. And I thought there's got to be a way to swim. And that's me transferring out of my chair into the van. I had what's called a 6-way power seat, and that enables me for the seat to turn all the way around at a 45 there, and I back right in there, turn around.
It's kind of a dark picture, but you can get from your scooter, which is part behind your driver's seat, into the driver's seat and turn it around.
I just transfer my scooter into the seat. Now we drove down to Brookville Lake, and that's the door opening up on my van, the ramp coming down, and I have transferred out of my seat into my scooter, and I'm ready to go.
You had your first van within a week of you being released from the hospital, did you not?
Real close. It was about a month, actually, but it was a little different. It was a club wagon van, and it had the elevator lift on there that went up and down, more like a type of an elevator. It was a ramp, the platform lift. This van's called the Inner Van. It's made by Braun, and it has a 10-inch lowered floor. You can run it by remote to open your door up, or else you can also put your key in the door there, and it will still run the door in the ramp if your transmitter went out on your remote control. We're shutting up the van here.
And this is at what ramp down in?
This is a Quakertown Marina.
Okay.
Very nice people, Quakertown. They put a handicap dock in. There's another gentleman down there he's a quadriplegic, but he still has a use of his arms, but no use of his hands. And we both share the same dock. They made the dock 5 foot wide, which is very nice because in a wheelchair, if you go on one of those little docks on the other ramp, you only have about 3 feet. You really have to be careful that you don't take a little dunk into the to the lake.
So that's good your way of being outside and in the sunshine.
Oh, it's great. I just couldn't give up the
beauty of
water.
nature.
I just hated that. So this is my boat, and it's level with the dock. I can just go right off the dock into the onto the boat. Here I'm going to show you. I had a lift designed. I thought, how can I swim and get out of the water? There's no problem getting in the water because I can transfer out of my chair onto the floor of the boat and scoot across the floor, going right off the edge of the boat into the lake. But I couldn't get out. So I remember the Hoyer lift back when I was in the rehab at Hook's Rehabilitation in Indianapolis years ago, and I thought, well, there's surely a way that you could pull me out of that water. So I got I went out and bought a winch that goes on a Jeep, and then went to it's called a Fix-It shop in Eaton, Ohio. And together we came up with this idea of using the Hoyer lift concept to pull me out of the water, and it worked real well. So what I did, I had a bar made. You can see that bar. I used to have a seat that would hook onto those hooks onto that bar, just like a Hoyer lift, and I had a back to it. But the first time we tried it, a friend of mine tried the lift. He lost the back the first day, so we never did use that back. But I used to be in the water. I'd be floating around with a life jacket on. I'd have to put my legs onto the seat, or put my legs through the bar and the seat of the lift there, and then they'd bring me up in a sitting position. Well, I was down there with a friend of mine one day, and we were swimming. It was a hot day, and we were drinking a little beer. Hate to say it, but we were. I got a little bit more courage. I just held onto that bar, and he lifted me right up. Instead of taking 5 minutes to come out of the water, it only took me about 15 seconds because I didn't realize I could hold myself up. So it sure made it a lot faster. He could just lift me up, and they would set me on the front of the boat. They'd bring me up on the lift and set me on the front of the boat, and then I would get back into my chair. I used to be able to get into my chair by myself. As you can see, I've gained a lot of weight. So now I'm a little heavier, so it's a little harder to get into the chair, but with help, no problem.
Now, our viewers are probably wondering, how does someone without the use of their legs and full use of their arms, how would they swim?
Well,
so how do you do that?
It shocked me because I didn't realize how buoyant your body is to the first time I got into the water, and I had trouble because my legs kept floating up.
Right.
And so I had to kind of comprehend that to get over that. But once you get used to it, you can just use your arms. Even I think a quadriplegic who didn't have use of his hands, but his arms could still swim. I use what's called a ski belt to put around my waist, and it helps me keep buoyant also, and you don't have to worry about also going under. But to be able to get back out there and swim and enjoy the water and fish, and that boat also, it doesn't have a captain's chair on it, so I can drive the boat. It's all ran by just one lever for the forward and reverse, and it's no problem whatsoever. Now this is back in my van here. We're showing the hand control. This is how I drive my van. You push down for gas. It always comes back to a neutral position, and you push in for the brake. And my gosh, the first week I was out, I got my first van. I think I put 2,100 miles on it in 1 week.
So that gave you your mobility.
Total independence.
Between your chair and between the chair and the van, you can get around, and you enjoy going to high school sports and football and basketball games, and getting out and doing things with friends, and being out and about in the community. And I'm sure many of our viewers know you because you are out and about in the community. Well, we're almost out of time, but one thing I want to ask you real quick is what would you say to someone who might be paralyzed, maybe they had a stroke or an accident or whatever, and suddenly they've lost the use of an arm or a leg or some other part of their anatomy. And what would you say to that person as a word of encouragement?
Well, the first thing that I was lucky to have was good family support and friends. Without that, I never would have made it to where I am today. And then good counselors, if something happened to you, people who advised me, such as vocational rehabilitation. At the time I had my accident, I was managing a furniture store, and I was still employed after I had my accident. So vocational rehabilitation, to help me with my independence, they provided the adaptive equipment on my van, the hand control, the lift, the electric seat, and also, and a lot of other people that I've worked with, they will help you remodel your bathroom, things like that. And that was one of the biggest helps, because that is a big financial barrier. I hate to say it, but things with disabilities are very, very expensive. And I mean, just like a wheelchair, a typical wheelchair is $6,000. I mean, you can go out and buy a nice used car for what a scooter or a wheelchair would cost you. I've seen wheelchairs up to, like the one Christopher Reeves used, it was close to $40,000 just for one wheelchair. So vocational rehabilitation was a very big help. Different agencies that will, anything to help you gain independence.
All right, so getting in touch with voc rehab, getting the physical therapy that might help them to regain some of their faculties is very important. And also keeping a positive attitude. Well, Tim, I really want to thank you for being on the show at the beginning. I said that you're a most interesting and remarkable person, and you're a great example of someone who's been able to rise above his circumstances in such a way that you're able to live an active, independent life, and an interesting life, and a rewarding life. And it's very encouraging. You're an inspiration to everyone that you meet, because everybody faces some kind of challenge in life, but the way you handle yours is inspiring to us all.
Well, it's
and
always nice to hear it.
Yeah.
Life goes on.
Life goes on.
It does.
And you've allowed it to go on in a creative and life-loving way. And so, Shel, I also want to thank you for being our interviewer for the show and for everything you do at Vocational Rehabilitation Services, and for all you do with the Community Council for Disability Awareness.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate you being here today.
I've thoroughly enjoyed working on the program as well as meeting Tim. It has been a real pleasure.
It has.
All right, and we want to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. We hope you've learned something about the problems of and the possibilities for the disabled living in our community. And want to thank you for tuning in, and have a good day.
A Closer Look, a program about being differently abled in the 21st century, produced by the Community Council on Disability Awareness. The Community Council on Disability Awareness meets on the third Wednesday of the month at 12 noon in the community room at the City of Richmond Municipal Building.